Anyway, going back to the Capitals-Flyers game, Capitals come out on top 4-3 in a shootout in Philadelphia. Washington getting goals from John Carlson on the power play, assisted by Matthew Perreault and Eric Fair, followed by Joel Ward, assisted by Jason Chimera and Eric Fair. And then when they were down 3-2, Ryan Stoa, of all people, would score an unassisted goal, and then to tie up the game. As for the Philadelphia Flyers, again, they went on a bit of a tear, taking a 3-2 lead, and it started with Jake Voracek, assisted by Jason Akeson and Sean Couturier. Then Vinny Lecavalier would get on the board for the first time on the power play, assisted by Samuel Morin. And then Jason Akeson would get a goal, assisted by Sean Couturier and Jake Voracek. So that line, brilliant so far in the preseason. And in the shootout, only one player would score in the shootout last night, and that was Joel Recklish of the Washington Capitals, former New York Islanders forward. So he was the only one putting a puck in the net in the shootout. So the goaltending was solid as well. For the Washington Capitals, they had two different goaltenders. Michael Neuvirth, he would go perfect in the game, even though he didn't play most of the game. He made 16 saves on 16 shots, so great for Michael Neuvirth. And then David Leggio would let up all of the goals. He made 14 saves on 17 shots and .824 save percentage. So he played okay, but after he let up those goals, it was Michael Neuvirth's time to shine. He got the winner. He was the shootout winning goaltender. And then for the Philadelphia Flyers, Ray Emery would play the entire game, making 29 saves and 32 shots, a .906 save percentage. So, again, congrats to the Washington Capitals on a win over Philadelphia Flyers Squad A. We'll get to their Squad B game in a moment here, but first, I'm doing these games by the order of time in which they started. So first, before we get to their Squad B game, we're talk about another game, which was actually a former Stanley Cup Finals 2 years running. The Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins. They will not face each other in the Stanley Cup Finals anymore, now because the Detroit Red Wings have moved to the Eastern Conference. Detroit with a blowout victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins by a final score of 4-1. Sidney Crosby did play in this game, and he could not work up any kind of magic. It was just a rough night overall for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Thomas Tatar started the scoring, assisted by Landon Ferraro and Brendan Smith. And then after that, two power play goals scored by Adam Almquist. So a two-goal performance for him, both on the power play. The first goal assisted by Brendan Smith and Thomas Tatar, and the second assisted by Michael Samuelsson and Pavel Datsyuk. And then to add insurance, Pavel Datsyuk would get a goal of his own unassisted. And the goaltending was just brilliant for Detroit. Jimmy Howard played most of the game, 13 saves on 14 shots, a .929 save percentage. And then Peter Mrazek would take over in the third period, going perfect 10 for 10. So good job for him. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Brandon Sutter would be the only guy getting a puck behind anybody, assisted by Chris Connor and Paul Martin. Again, in the goaltending, not that good. Tomas Vokoun would play most of the game, only 11 saves on 15 shots, 733 save percentage. So not a good night for Tomas Vokoun. Eric Hartzell would play one full period. He only had to face 4 shots, and he made 4 saves. So he didn't face much. And Pittsburgh actually outshot Detroit in this game, 24-19. Detroit came out on top. So congrats to the Detroit Red Wings. Now, the Philadelphia Flyers Squad B game, they would be playing on the road, and they would have a rematch with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they would get revenge, winning by a final score of 3-2 in a shootout. Flyer goal scored by Luke Shen, assisted by Nicholas Grossman, and Tyler Brown. And then finally, Bruno Gervais, an unassisted goal. And then for the Toronto Maple Leafs, James Van Riemsdyk, unassisted. And then the second goal, Jamie Devane, assisted by Trevor Smith and Mark Frazier. And then in the shootout, for the first time, we've had multiple scores in a shootout. Shootout goals for the Toronto Maple Leafs scored by Tyler Bozak, James Van Riemsdyk, and David Clarkson. And for the Philadelphia Flyers, their shootout contributions came from Nick Cousins, Matt Reed, Scott Lawton, and Ty McGinn, who would score the shootout winner. And the goaltending was solid as well. Calvin Heater would play the entire game for the Philadelphia Flyers, making 19 saves on 21 shots, a .905 save percentage. Steve Mason would be the backup goaltender that night. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they had two goaltenders playing. Drew McIntyre played the majority of the game, making 13 saves and 14 shots and .929 save percentage. And Jonathan Bernier would be the other goaltender, making 15 saves on 16 shots and a .938 save percentage. So good night. Congrats to the Philadelphia Flyers. Next, we have the Ottawa Senators and the Calgary Flames. They played in Saskatoon, the home of the Saskatoon Blades. So we will not have the assists for that game, but the Ottawa Senators would come out on top by a final score of 4-2. Ottawa's goal-scoring contributions coming from Buddy Robinson on a short-handed goal, Corey Conacher, Mike Hoffman, who would get the eventual game winner, and Clark MacArthur. Nathan Lawson would be their goaltender that night. And for the Calgary Flames, David Jones and Corbin Knight would contribute for them, with Rito Berra getting the start for them, the Swiss goaltender who won the silver medal at the Worlds. So congrats for the Ottawa Senators. Next, the Phoenix Coyotes and the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim Ducks gave the Coyotes a serious spanking, 6-2 the final score in Anaheim. Teemu Selanne from Jakob Silfverberg and Peter Holland. Sami Vatanen unassisted. Nolan Youngman, a short-handed goal from Andrew Cogliano and Emerson Edom. Daniel Winnick, assisted by Andrew Cogliano and Stefan Nason, one of the guys they got in the Bobby Ryan trade. Hampus Lindholm on the power play, assisted by Shea Theodore and Jakob Silfverberg. Emerson Edom, and then Emerson Edom from Rickard Rakell and Andrew Cogliano. That is all of Anaheim's scoring. Jonas Hiller and Frederick Anderson would split time. Hiller made 12 saves on 13 shots and .923 save percentage, and Frederick Anderson 8 saves on 9 shots and .889 save percentage. And for the Phoenix Coyotes, only Guillaume Latendresse, assisted by Chris Brown and Andy Mealy, and then Chris Brown unassisted would get the goals. Louis Domingue went perfect 12 for 12. Mark Vishenton would let up pretty much all the goals. 18 saves on 24 shots, .750 save percentage. So great night for the Anaheim Ducks. They are ready for the regular season. And then finally, the final preseason game last night, the San Jose Sharks dominate in 42-16 in shots on goal against the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver and win it by a final score of 3-2. Joe Pavelski would open up the scoring, assisted by Tommy Wingles and Thomas Hertl, followed by John McCarthy, assisted by Scott Hannon and Brody Reed. And then the game-winning goal on the power play, Tommy Wingles, assisted by Joe Pavelski and Matt Irwin. And the goaltenders, Alex Stalock played the whole game, 14 saves on 16 shots, .875 save percentage. And for the Vancouver Canucks, they were lucky to get goals. Brendan Gaunce from Dale Weiss and Henrik Tomarnis, and who had a good night. And then Hunter Shinkaruk, assisted by Yannick Weber and Henrik Tomarnis. And for them, they had a split in goal. Eddie Lack played the majority of the game, making 25 saves on 27 shots and .926 save percentage. And Joe Canada making 14 saves on 15 shots and .933 save percentage. So great night for the San Jose Sharks. They had 42 shots on goal. And that was all the preseason action. And then one other update, Paul Bissonnette has been suspended for 10 games for a feud off the bench against the Los Angeles Kings from a couple nights ago. Big-time suspension for him, and just a big one, and much deserved. Alrighty, guys, that'll do it for episode 46 of Hockey on the Spot. This has been Hockey on the Spot with Brandon Barenfeld. I'm Brandon Barenfeld. Join me again tomorrow. Have a great day.